Is the papacy biblical? Let's dig deeper into Jesus' conversation with Peter. Here, Jesus just doesn't mention that he will build his church. He says that the church would be built on Peter, the rock, and that he would give the keys of his kingdom to Peter. What does this actually mean? Now, in Old Testament times, the king would appoint a chief steward or a prime minister to help govern the kingdom in the king's absence. Basically, they would have the same authority and power as the king and would rule in his place when the king was unavailable. The king would give his prime minister the literal keys of the kingdom, which he would wear over his shoulder or around his neck as a symbol of his complete authority and unrestricted access over the kingdom and its subjects. Jesus fulfills God's covenant to David by establishing a new Davidic kingdom whose dominion will have no end. So when Jesus addresses Peter, he isn't just telling him that he's giving him the spare keys to his house. He's telling Peter that he will now take up the office of the prime minister for his kingdom. Jesus had been preparing the disciples for their mission after his ascension into heaven, but Peter had a special role to fulfill. Now that we know what the keys really mean, let's look at what it meant for Peter. By appointing him as vicar or in person of, he is preparing Peter to lead the apostles and the rest of the church in his absence. He is asking him to be a father figure and a shepherd to guide his flock. We see this in a few passages as well. For example, in Luke 22, Jesus warns of the impending trials and instructs Peter to strengthen the disciples. Or in John 21, when Jesus appears to Peter after his resurrection, he asks him 3 times to take care of his sheep. But Peter's role as the chief apostle didn't end with Jesus. Throughout the book of Acts, we see Peter really taking the reins and leading the rest of the apostles and followers of Christ. For example, when a dispute arises between the circumcised and uncircumcised, it is Peter who, at the Council of Jerusalem, who takes the final call. These passages really highlight Peter's leadership role in the early church. And just as the disciples cast lots for Judas's replacement and as successors were appointed for bishops, the papal office also followed a line of succession. This is evident from the writings of the early church fathers who were not only alive during or pretty close to the time of the apostles, but are considered authorities in their own right when it comes to matters of doctrine and theology. So, right from Jesus passing the keys of the kingdom to Peter's primacy among the apostles, the papacy is not just a man-made concept. It is an office rooted in scripture and instituted by Christ to provide guidance, unity, and leadership for his church until his return.